for the Guam Power Authority. Today's date is April 17th. The time is now 8:37. I will go ahead and announce the members present are Commissioner Chaco, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Duenas, Commissioner Martinez, myself, Commissioner Santos. There is a quorum present. Therefore, we can start. John Benavente, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Good morning. Happy Easter. Yes. Starts tonight, right? Today. Yeah. So.
Praying for my sins already. Still in 1987.
So we do have two resolutions that are before you. I'll go through the first one, and then the second one I'm actually kind of tabling until hopefully Tuesday, but I will explain
Okay,
what
great.
I'm trying
Thank
to do.
you.
And then the third one will be on just a presentation on an initial understanding of centralized energy battery,
Okay.
which is something we're going to be pursuing in the future. So the first item is Resolution FY 2025-15. Again, this is to authorize us to extend the agreement with TriStar Terminal for the storage tank and the pipeline used for the RFO, residual fuel oil. This is the oil that we burn for Cabras power plant, and again it's separated from the diesel. And this is actually the pipeline and the storage tank that would actually go away after we retire Cabras. The thing about it is after we retire Cabras, we have to clean out the tanks and the pipelines and everything, and then turn it over. So the contract actually is expiring August 31st. So we're extending it for 1 year. And once we've completed the whole process, that could take a few months, then the contract will be terminated at that point. There is an increase in the amount. It's really not significant for the additional 1 year, although they're giving us option for 2 additional years. So, I mean, it's an option, so it doesn't really matter which way. But you never say never, right? You never know. So again, that's the thing. The total contract for the two items is 281,818.97. And again, the way it's working out, commissioning of Cabras September 15. We have to retire Cabras within 6 months as per our consent decree. However, we're planning, not buying as much oil, so that hopefully we can retire, at least shut down Cabras by the end of the year, and then clean out the pipelines. No? So the good news is that as Ukudu again start closer and producing more energy, we'll be using less energy with Cabras, and that's part of the other resolution we have today, is a little bit of our plan towards that, Mr. Chair. So this is kind of a straightforward resolution, Mr. Chair, unless there's any question on it.
Go ahead, Commissioner Chaco.
Walk us through the process of decommissioning Cabras. Like, how are you going to get through all the RFO that you're going to be purchasing, right? And then what do you need to do with that tank when you deplete it? Because it's going to eventually store ultra low sulfur diesel, right?
No,
It won't.
No.
That tank
We're
will
done.
be
we're done.
the tank itself. We're decommissioning as well.
The tank itself is being leased from TriStar.
Oh, it's not
So
ours.
this is just a lease. So both we have to lease the pipeline and the throughput and the storage tank, because they go hand in hand, right?
But is that at TriStar or is that at Cabras?
TriStar.
At TriStar.
So up in TriStar, there's several these tanks. No, that I think there's another one which is for deliveries or for cleaning out. It's now has 0.2% in the RFO, which is not compatible with the ultra low sulfur diesel. So we're only keeping these tanks because to feed Cabras power plant. Remember, we used to have RFO as our main, even for PD.
Yep.
So then the 2 big tanks, 1934 and 1935, held RFO. But then we cleaned them up, recertified them for 10 years, and then actually filled one up already now with ultra low sulfur diesel. But to do that, we also had to lease tanks in other from TriStar
For the art.
to feed Cabras. So 1934 will be done later on this year too, maybe another 2-3 months, and therefore everything that we will have will be ultra low sulfur diesel, or storage will be ultra low sulfur diesel, and the last of it will be the Cabras 1 and 2. So this is kind of because the contract expires August 31st this year. And again, before this was time, when Cabras was gonna, Ukudu was going to be done in April 2024, but because again of the delay, it extended, need an extension. So yeah, I think it was $100,000 difference in the costing, but it's not.
And then when it's decommissioned, walk us through
Oh.
what will happen to the facility? What do we need to do, and do we have it budgeted already to?
No,
handle it?
what we're doing now is preparing a decommissioning plan for all of the power plants, even Tangisan 1 and 2. Remember, we did Cabras 3 and 4 and Cabras 1 and 2. So there'll be a big decommissioning plan and how to make that happen. But
You're gonna take apart everything you put together?
no, but I'm not leaving you behind. I'm giving you the top of the line.
Or is that someone else's problem, Jimmy?
Well, that's like I said. There's a few of us here that's going to be
no,
someone else's
we're working on it already. but we have some, there's some potential for the use of
that's valuable
for
land.
those properties.
Yeah.
So therefore, with the potential, there's opportunities, right? That's a result of the
Nice
decommissioning.
discussion now, Mr.
So,
I still don't think the military is going to allow us to put a bomb on their property.
Tangisan 1 and 2 is also has to be Deriru diesel 1. So it's really now catching up with the decommissioning process.
Now is that
But our plan here is really, again, we're watching the production of Ukudu. We're not going to order too much more RFO, try and finish it all out. So after that, once you put the plan down, that's it. Because if you're out of fuel, you can't run it anymore. So you basically at that point will tell US EPA that the plan is decommissioned. As far as the physical decommissioning, that's another plan that will have to come in and that we all have to deal with. But that's all. We have to bring her, set her down, and take care of any hazardous or oil materials, all of that, to secure the plan so that it doesn't become an environmental issue.
Okay. So I guess, John, just following up on my conference last week with Miguel and our friends at US EPA, because there's no certainty even today if they're going to exist. Other than the fact that we have a federal consent decree on our shoulders, right? So, any information that you hear, sir, that you find out that, if the handcuffs are going to come off of us, please let us know, because obviously, unfortunately for our sister company, there's a lot of money tied to their programs, unlike ours, right, on the GPA side.
And like you said, it's already a court order, so.
Well, that's the interesting part,
I
because
Trump's trying to reverse some court orders, but that's a tough one.
Yeah, again, so we don't want to get in that.
Yeah.
But
we're
our
just
fight
following
is pretty easy. I mean, let's just get it done and then we're off.
Yeah.
If I have to pick between Trump and Francis Tidenco Gatewood, I will say no to Trump.
No, I agree, but that's the general consensus out there. Is the uncertainty is creating a lot of confusion for everybody, and even the speakers that came before us that were policy people working for the Senate staff, right? They said we can't tell you today because we're not even sure ourselves what's going to happen.
As far as
Yeah.
the power side, I mean, the only issue we have left is the solar 40 megawatt difference.
Yeah.
Which, which Hanwha was supposed to complete, which actually phase 3 was supposed to do, and then that fell apart, and then Ukudu, Eka, don't use that in the same vein, and Hanwha then again
Yeah,
fell
okay,
apart.
good.
And by the way, we do have the money in the bank already for
Oh, good.
cash.
The bid bond.
What, yeah. And then, oh yeah, and then,
Cash.
yep, and then,
How much was that? 6 million? 4.6, so
million.
we exercise and we have 4.6 million from the performance bond for Hanwha's failure to perform on their award.
That's good. So, and again, we have already started discussion with our lawyer over there, who's checking with them. So, and again, we want to see whether we can convince them to agree that, hey, we're doing a lot more than what that 40
Let us know
megawatt
what
is.
we can do at our
We
end.
just awarded the KEPCO 132 megawatts, but you know, so I
It's
think
coming. It's
yeah.
coming.
I just like to, because whenever I hear the statement, we have to let it rest, the Cabras plant. There's something in my heart that's kind of drop. You know, it's like you're bearing something that has been really faithful to the island. Cabras 1 and 2 been taking care of us for all these years, and it's still running. I mean, it's still working. But to decommission something, my heart is really challenged because. Again, maybe because I've worked with the control system for so many years in there, and it's a plant that if there's a way that can be on a reserve situation, that's very nice. 3/4 of the world is still burning fossil fuel and coal, and I know EPA is very, very strong on us for the emission, but we do have the auto analyzer, we have the smoke detectors, we have the fuel air ratio to regulate some of these. But is there a way that we don't decommission so fast, John, so that at least there's some insurance in case something happened to, I know we don't wanna, again, foresee anything that will ruin the new plant that we're depending on, but in case something happened, is there a way that we can hold on to that and put it on at least a reserve, or we don't bother anybody out here in the Pacific with our emission? I mean, there's bombs that's blowing all over the world. So much pollution around the world.
We've been telling that for 22 years that our
and it's
emissions
just-
don't hurt anybody, but
It's just a little, for me, it's just, I guess it's just something that I'm very attached. Plus, that as long as that old Oldsmobile can still pump and run, you know, it's hard to let go.
it's
you know.
expensive to run.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Think
the,
about your
But
ratepayer.
I know,
Think about your ratepayer.
I know it's, but I tell you, if should something happen to our new plant, we might regret that, you know, we don't hold on at least until everything is smooth sailing, you know, 1 or 2 years down the road.
it's substantially,
Or we build another base unit.
Well, we're doing batteries now. That's what we're gonna go to batteries.
Goodness, again, I share your thoughts on that. The issue now is that really it's 50 years,
It's time.
and once we get rid of oil and all of that, there's huge cost to be safe, no? And if we did have further issues because of Okudo or whatever, then we'll have to deal with it at that point with temporary power or something like that. No, that we had done in the past. But so you know, it's a new plan. They're really going to all ends to make sure it operates, and you know, they got big bucks. They don't operate, we don't pay. And stuff. So, you know, there's a lot of redundancy in the power plant.
Yeah, but more importantly, there's a consent decree that we agreed to, and there's fines associated with running that plant
understand.
that is extremely expensive. So if the concern is the ratepayer, you don't want to have to pay those fines. And we already agreed to it, so it's gotta shut down.
And the architect that built Cabris is the same architect that has moved us to the new paradigm of a blend. We're still burning carbon, ultra low, I mean, up at
Much- much-
How
Ukadu.
many folks are working down there again in Cabras 1 and 2 still? About 40, 50?
Somewhere,
Like, less,
Yeah.
less than 100.
But they're gonna go work for the private providers.
So I'm saying we probably need to do an, let them know there's gotta be an outlet or as they
That's
go
all-
in, and
that's all
then
going-
give them priority coming in and fit them in where we can.
There- that's all part of the plan. Remember, we have a huge retirement issue. So therefore, we're gonna be resetting personnel.
We're gonna get
in
smaller
areas,
anyway.
Yep. And so it's still,
And many of them end up working for Ukuru. They work for the solar farm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So they get two
There's an
checks.
inlet coming
most of
in
them will retire.
to rehire, but if there's a way
there's some
also
that are
that we
gonna
can.
retire.
If we don't need them, if the rate, then
Yeah.
we owe it to the ratepayers. Say, if we don't need them, then why are we forcing the ratepayer to pay for them?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but we're not
maybe that's
putting,
a chance
we're
to,
not doing a reduction in force, we're making it happen because
Voluntary.
again, we're in a kind of a good situation in that, because of all the retirements and all of that, you already have a workforce that has the culture of stuff, so it's a matter of resetting and
But the
resuming.
technology of Cabras 1 and 2 is totally different from the gas
I know, but
turbines
it's-
and other
But it's outdated, it's
electronic stuff.
outdated.
You
But they
gotta
can learn. They can
kind of
learn.
relearn everything.
They can
you know,
learn.
with training.
Cabras is
But to just
very,
absorb and put them in
very
music.
complicated power
gonna retire.
plant, so learning the
We're gonna have to
other,
absorb them.
Not
other
all of them,
portion
but
is
there's
not as difficult.
there's a way to, again,
I do,
lower
we
the
do
rate
plan,
somehow.
Well, I mean, this is
That's a
to keep
chance.
the rate low. You don't want to keep people you don't need
I'm
anymore.
saying if there's an outlet, and some of the workers ahead of time and give them avenue to be.
Well, I think, like he says, many of them are just going to retire.
so our
It's a good
HR team
place to
has,
be.
has been working with all the employees involved already for some time.
I know
now.
most of them.
So, yeah. So there, there's a plan to make that happen. It's being refined, they're getting their inputs and all of that. We do want to and plan to have something happen down there, Cabras, once it's retired. So we get all the employees and retirees and everyone together, so at least to come and, say goodbye to the power plant that has been there as the service them all these years now. So we'll be having one of those for at Cabras itself.
Tracy?
Sir, I wanted to clarify. There's less than 100 employees in generation, but only about 28 that will be affected by the closing. So only 28, 28
The others are retiring.
within generation itself, within the generation division,
Because we still have combustion
but only
turbines.
Cabras 1 and 2, 28 affected employees. And those employees, we've started conversations individually and as a group many months ago. And so HR is speaking with them individually now. We've also been
So
holding.
there's no way there's an outlet that we can go and, let them go and then come back in as a priority hire?
That's not
Because
necessary.
if we're retiring something, it's most.
Sir,
business
we're
workers.
not terminating these employees.
We're not terminating.
Where do we
It's up to them to retire,
Right.
but
Where do we put them at?
They're
in
going to
other
retire.
places.
gonna retire.
Like for example, we had the diesel area,
Not all of
the
them are
generators.
retiring. I know
Because
most of
many areas, remember that there are other retirees coming up, so we're
can
gonna
go
be
into those
resledding.
areas.
We're also, some of these have the expertise that can work in T&D or other areas, no?
We're
So-
committed to assisting with retraining so
Yeah.
that they can fit within the authority should they choose. Some are choosing to retire, some are choosing to stay. If they stay, we are giving them priority as far as internal job openings.
I'm just thinking some of the evaluation maybe can be very, very low on some employees whether it's, they don't show up or they have problems with alcohol or whatever. Do we just reabsorb all of them, even if their evaluation is really struggling?
I don't quite
anybody-
understand what
Those
you're
are all,
asking.
They get evaluation for
Yeah,
employees.
Commissioner, I think it's important that we focus on policy level stuff and not operational stuff. That's for the management.
Yeah, I'm just asking information.
Yeah. No, we have a process that we're following, and of course, if we start getting into reduction in force, then it's not really necessarily his evaluation and stuff. It's more his service years and all of that. So what you're going to end up doing is mostly the new employees that are on board are the first ones to go. So again, that's why we've actually thought about this for a while, and we've been planning on how to absorb the employees, understanding that we were, remember 5 years ago, 60% of GPA workforce was eligible for retirement. Well, that number is still about 30 to 45% in the next 5 years. So therefore, that means that's 30% of GPA workforce. No, is 100 some employees, and so integrating 28 to cover in those positions is really the best thing to do, in my opinion, because again, they're already been trained, familiar with the culture, with the utility, what to do, and they have skills. And so it's just a matter, in fact, that the skill that they're doing may be a little lower than what they've been doing, of course, because how cameras operate. It's a very complicated plan.
Excuse me, but those are good discussion, Commissioner Dueñas. But I also want to bring out this thing that we're talking about now. So, John, we're moving things on the pipeline on the first, that, and then the second one is the trucking. And the truck goes fuel.
No. Right now, every month or every 2 months, we buy a load, and it goes through a particular pipeline up to TriStar. It stores the fuel there, and then it feeds Cabers. So what we're gonna do is just extending that for another year, and within several months after Ukudu's done, we'll be able to retire Cabers. Then we clean out the tanks and the pipeline and return it. So we won't, because it doesn't belong to us. We're just leasing the tanks. Then after that, then we're not going to have any heavy oil anymore in the system, all ultra low sulfur diesel.
Thank you. Okay, John, do you want to talk about the next resolution?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next resolution, just a quick, here's an idea of our...
JB, this isn't in board books yet, though, right?
Huh?
I don't see it in board books.
Yeah. Is there another resolution?
Yeah, it was on the agenda, but it's
Yeah,
not.
there's no,
Just let me clarify, he's tabling the discussion, but he
Yeah.
wants us to at least
Okay.
get a briefing, because it's gonna
Yeah.
be on the,
I'm trying
on,
to,
Tuesday.
I'll explain in a minute.
yeah.
So, this is our demand over the past 3 fiscal years. As you can see, the red, that's fiscal year 2025. So we're already higher than 23 and 24. So this is now, the growth is coming upon us. It's starting to creep in. Now, part of this also, this growth is as a result of, we have been growing for a while here, but we've also been putting in demand side management programs and right-sizing the consumer's consumption. So therefore, that's been helping. But now, I think what's going to be coming is pure growth, no? Next. So, as you can see here, this is our load curve today. And this is our capacity of Ukudu. We're still short 44%, 44 megawatts to be at the reliability level that we need so that we're not load shedding, and that's the criteria set by the PUC and ourselves. So what we're trying to do here is we're heading into the hot summer months, May, June, July, August, September. And September's not going to come, there's going to be still, we're vulnerable for load shedding, most especially during this period. So what we're trying to do is to work out an agreement with KEPCO about utilizing the plan for periods of time. Once they have already tested it and commissioned or get ready with as best they can, have an agreement that we can run that facility at a price so that we can have enough capacity where if you look here, and again, we're talking about two sets of combined cycle. Two sets of combined cycle is a total about 135 megawatt. And with that, we're going to have 91 megawatts above the reserve requirement. In other words, that basically alleviates load shedding, no? So next.
91 above with the dispatchable ESS?
Yes, yeah.
Or not inclusive?
The backup. So yeah, here. So what you're doing now is adding 135 megawatts. That's going to displace, it's going to take care of all this peak now.
Where's your reserve of 42 megawatts coming from?
This is just the difference between what we have today and what we expect the demand. So we only have 42 megawatts of reserve. So when you only have 42 megawatts of reserve and your two largest units become unavailable, in this case, no, PD 8 and 9, 43 megawatts each, no?
But that's inclusive of Cabras 1 and 2, which is going to go offline, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about, this is today, no?
Okay.
This is today, this is what we're experiencing today. So you see, whenever you have two large base loads unit out, you're short.
Shortage. Okay.
Or you get a half here and a half there and a half everywhere, you're short, right? If we had this short term or this kind of a bridge into commissioning, you'll not only be able to meet that load, even when you lose your two largest unit, you still have capacity. Okay? So next, let me go through,
Just go back. When you say, when we're going to decommission 1 and 2, when do we actually turn it off?
After we run out of
6 months after or run out of fuel?
after we run out of fuel.
Okay, so that's the.
Yeah, in other words, it could be, I'm trying to program this so that maybe October, November, and I hope maybe operations not listening, but I'm thinking October, November is when we'll set down the machine and then just start
Shut it down.
clearing up and preparing it. No?
Well, once that's shut down, wouldn't it affect the substation there and the 105 kV line, the towers that are all interconnected?
They're still connected to the system.
But there's no source down there for the substation now?
No, but again, coming through, it comes there and then actually can feeds up. So it's still integrated with the grid. So we'll deal with that issue differently. The shutdown of the Cabras just means it doesn't have any capacity. It's like now, if the whole Cabras is down, the grid is still operating. It just redirects energy from everywhere.
How about the 105 tower?
The one, yeah, even that is still in operation. At some point, we're going to be making a recommendation to
To loop it back?
or to retire the towers. So again, and why is that? Because most of the load is in the north. Why do we have Ukudu up in the north? Because most of the load is in the north. Therefore, you don't need as much 115 coming to the south, see? It was only there because all the capacity was in the south, bringing it up to the north.
But then should something cripple, the ship can come in and tie into those 105 and feed get the feedback also there, because the ship can come in not in the north, but only in the
No worries. The 34 fives will handle the ships are only 5 megawatts, sir. They're not very big. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We
Move on, John.
okay, next. So here's the crux, no? So I made a request to KEPCO to see what we can work out on combined cycle. Combined cycle means you're running already the combustion turbine plus the steam turbine, so you're getting the high efficiency from the machine, no? And again, to mitigate, alleviate our load shedding potential during the summer months, no, that are coming up. And again, this will reach the capacity into September 15. And this will be a significant assistance for our community, most because of the coming months, no? You know, if you recall, there have been several load shedding over the past week or two. Part of that night is we have PD number 9 down for a 21-day overhaul. After that, we're going to take number 8 down for a 14-day overhaul. These are machines that you need this overhaul for some time, and we've been waiting for parts and all of that. So that will again help us and make us stronger, but we're still vulnerable, no? And again, when we get to the summer months, so the agreement I'm trying to work out will result in net savings to LEAC. And I would like to also, at that point with that savings, I would like to ask yourselves and the PUC to charge that all to LEAC. In other words, if you recall, the commissioning date of Ukudu was going to be January 2026. So we made a deal for $5 million to make it September 15. And we saved, the repairs were saving $18 million of fuel costs during that period. So similarly, again, here's a situation where we can, once the commissioning and you're satisfied that the machines are in good shape, that we can bridge this scenario for the next, whatever, 75, 90 days or whatever to make it happen. The key here is that, again, we will reflect a savings to the ratepayers. So not only are you getting the capacity to get you avoid load shedding, but also you're going to save on the fuel cost because it's more efficient. So that's what I'm trying to work out. We almost had a deal. Something's in their end has to be worked out. So I've made a request to please work with us, make this happen. Is very important, in my opinion, to the community and stuff. So I'm hoping to sit down with them soon and try and get something worked out by Tuesday. That's why I wanted to at least prepare the commission as to why I'm tabling this, no? So again, this is what we're trying to do by Tuesday, and then there's the...
JB, so if you were to agree by April 22nd, what would be the timeline and what is the max megawatts that they'd be able to provide us during during this
Yeah.
pre-commissioning?
Right now, under the pre-commissioning, they're actually running in the evening sometime. They've been helping us. They give us like a schedule for this week, and next week they want to run this machine from this time to this time. They're doing all of those different things. So what I'm talking about is after they've done those commissioning scenario, because the next step is they basically have the 3 combustion turbines pretty much almost finished in terms of their performance testing and mission testing and everything. The next set now will be running the boiler, yeah, producing steam and then running the turbine and taking out all the box from it. No? So then from there, they can run 1 unit at a time and run the turbine. Steam turbine will be running. As long as that steam turbine is running now, they can run 1, 2, or 3 units, no? And the efficiency now, because you're running the steam turbine. The steam turbine, the way it works is the exhaust gas from the combustion turbine is still very hot. It's about, I would say, around 900 degrees. So they're making that into a boiler, produce steam, and then run a steam turbine. So for every gallon that the combustion turbine consumes, the steam turbine give you 50% more energy free for the same gallon. That's why the efficiencies are such. So this is what...
To know that they're running it already, testing it, and but there's also a safety there that we don't push the testing too fast during the testing part, so that I know we will appreciate if it goes online at a certain time, but when they push it, sometimes they
No, we're not.
fast.
No, we're not pushing it because we don't want to interfere with their contractual obligations, no? They have a EPCM, or that is responsible for construction. Gpa is the owner. We're the off taker of the. So right now so what they're trying to do is work on an agreement there, trying to accommodate what we're asking. That's about yeah. So and again, they won't agree until they're ready and can do it. If they believe that the machines are ready and can do it, that's the time that they could agree to such an agreement. So this agreement may not be in place. The effective date may not be until June or so, no? But hopefully, in the meantime, they'll be testing throughout the period. So depending on when we're testing, I just hope that when they're not testing, I just hope we don't have capacity issues. That's when we will run into load shedding. But so again, that's all. I'm just going to let the commission know. Would it happen? I'm not quite sure.
When can we visit?
It was.
You want something in place, John, that's
I
what.
just want to be prepared so that Tuesday, we have it. You have an idea. I will give you the numbers, and that complies with this. And then if you agree, then we can move it at least.
Right now, we're not paying for any of the power that they push into the grid during commissioning. Right?
No, we're providing the fuel, and we're not paying the power. Yeah. There's nothing, even as they commission, even when they commission it at the high efficiency, that's all gonna be a savings to the ratepayer. No?
They'll bill
But
us-
after they're done with their
they'll bill us after
commissioning,
September
yeah.
1st.
After they're done, now we're coming with an agreement that they will run it from this time to this time.
Schedule.
So on a regular schedule for us, no?
What's the hesitancy? Is it have to do with like warranties with the
Yep.
equipment if they push it past the
Yep.
full commissioning?
Remember, there's a three-party deal. You got the supplier of the machine, you got the EPCM, the contractor, that's putting it all together on the contract, and then you have Gpa, the owner. So you have all those agreements that have to be worked out. And then you have the ratepayer representative that's saying, I need help for this community, and I know we can save money too. Please help us. Can you help us? So,
We
yeah.
schedule an orientation to visit when they test some of these things, maybe in the near future.
Yeah.
We haven't visited, some of us are informed of how, but you said it's running sometimes,
Yep.
they're testing it in
Yep.
the evening.
We'll work with Larissa and Joyce can help us get.
Can you also tell us how much fuel we've already provided to them? Because
Yeah.
it's been burning for the past 2 months. At
Yeah.
least, just give us an idea of how much we've
Yep.
sent down their way, right?
Yep.
But the nice thing is the energy it puts into the grid displaces energy from the more expensive units, right? They throttle back, this throttles up. So we're getting the fuel savings every time they test, and we're not paying anything on the base rate until September 1. Although I'm sure all of this testing is in the base rate after September 1. That's a nice thing about the process. The bidder has said, I figured all this out. I'm gonna have to build it, I gotta test it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna give me the fuel, and on September 1, I get the bill, and we raise the base rate, right? That's the process. But the LEAC is gonna
Continues
plummet.
to go down.
But right now, during testing, we're benefiting, he's burning less fuel, and it's at
Yeah.
a cheaper price anyway, so
There
it's gonna
there
be
was
good.
at some point, I could understand them asking that, can we share savings during the commissioning period? And the
Yeah,
answer to
have
that
fun.
was our answer to that was no. No.
Part of them testing, I mean,
Yeah.
they gotta preserve their
Yep.
warranties,
So
the
there are
car's delivered
pluses
on
and
the first.
minus to the testing, but at the end, there's a net savings to the customer.
But we benefit
No,
from the
the net
testing.
savings will really come when the turbines start coming into place, no? The steam turbine.
It's nice to know the
Okay.
fuels are going down, the fuel prices are plummeting, so encouraging to know.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the other one I have today is centralized battery energy storage. It just take me about 3 to 5 minutes to do that. Oh, back up one. Yep, there. Back up one more. So here, Mr. Chair, the prices of fuel have been coming down, no? And again, it's now hovering right around this lowest point.
It's gonna come
Next.
down somewhere.
So yeah, here again, since 2022, the high point, fuel now is here. So we're getting now closer to where we were when we were getting $85, $90 a barrel. We're still around the $90, $95 a barrel today, but now we're closer. So our rating, our estimate on the, for the September 1st is on $100 a barrel, no? So again, when the time comes, we'll reflect all of this. We do have to provide because we have to provide by June 15 the LEAC, so we will be bringing that to you in May and seeing what the numbers looked at.
It looks good, yeah.
Yeah. We are fortunate right now, and during this low period, we are actually loading up tomorrow or today the tanker for delivery. So the pricing of that tanker is 5 days before and 5 days after. So we're gonna get a nice. We're ordering about 240,000 barrels.
Do we have an idea of under recovery or over recovery at this point, or by next week? You take a peek?
Tuesday?
Yeah, take a peek.
Please.
I'm just curious.
Based on this? Based on,
Projected.
This is going forward.
Yeah.
So we could give you what our recovery as of March.
But you can but you're, like John said, in 30 days, you're giving us the.
Yeah. No, but
Give us a taste, give us a peek.
Yeah, we'll provide, but the inventory is what's in the tank, right? So that's in, out, so this will have an impact. Okay, we'll go ahead to the energy storage, Mr. Chair.
It's nice to see that.
That's this, right?
Yes, the energy storage, sorry. And I apologize, just finished this up this morning. I wanted to finish this one chart,
Take time.
and took me a little bit longer.
What page are you on, Candace?
Next.
On board books, vote?
So again, similarly,
Oh, you didn't load this yet?
yeah, not loaded. We'll be loading after this, Mr. Chair. My apologies.
She got his 100 slides.
So again, I just showed you the demand as to how we're moving forward. Next. So again, there's significant growth on the way. We're still evaluating really what that percent will be. There are still uncertainties, including how large really the DoD is going to grow, and how what's all this changes
And
may
data
be.
centers.
Huh?
And data centers.
And data centers,
That's the
no?
question I'm gonna ask you.
So again, we have to look at the duck curve of renewables, no, and how do we take care of that? So if you're asking me, and again, this is not our rate filing, no, it's not 3%. We still don't know at this point, right? We just want to pay ukudu under our rate filing. But if you take, if DoD was going to grow at 7%, and the civilian community is going to grow around 1.5 or so, you're looking maybe a total growth of 3%. And again, I'm just giving you an idea, right? So if 3% is the growth, so by 2028, no, you're looking at megawatt capacity 290, no? So what does that mean next? So again, where have we been? We've gone from a solar farm without any battery to bringing in batteries that we own so that we can alleviate the intermittency, to now bringing in KEPCO Manilo in 2022 that had its batteries to take care of intermittency, to now bringing in KEPCO Samsung in 2028, which now will shift 50% of the energy they produce to help shape the peak, and again provide us capacity. And again, we're still looking and considering others that could get us to 50%, 52% renewable in 2028, 2029 timeframe. Next. So what does your duck curve look like today? It's right here. So that's why we do a lot of maintenance in the daytime. That's why you're not seeing load shedding basically in the daytime, because we have the solar. But look at the huge steep climb in the evening. This is when you make the repairs, you get on the line by 5 or 6 to catch this, and sometimes we do. That's why we load shedding for an hour, half an hour, until we get the units on. When we put the KEPCO on with the shifting, this is the duct curve. And we're taking some of that energy already that is from what could have been a bigger duct curve and shifting energy. And this is your green. Now your peak now has been reduced. You see here, the blue, this is what the conventional energy peak we're know today. So again, you're going from about around 290 down to about 250. So you kind of shaved the peak already 40 megawatts, see? So now that gives you capacity for growth. So this is the transitioning forward, right? So how do we get, how do we take this fat from the dock and put it in a good location? Because right now this is a lot of,
It's not a duck anymore, it's like a big fat chicken.
big
and
fat
it's
dog,
ready
right? So this is what I was doing this morning. We're trying to get is the next page. There's your duck, see? It's going away from here to now here, and this is what you want to do. You want to stabilize your conventional production straight. So how do you do that? By centralized battery, you catch what would have been down here into a battery, and here you use it the rest of the day. So the conventional units now are come. You also let these conventional units hum along straight, and get you the most savings instead of going like this up and down. So, yeah.
Yeah, John, and maybe you'll touch on it, and even not today, but, what I'm hearing is for data centers, right, they need 20 megs, 30 megs, right?
Yeah.
And I've thought, and we want that business, right? And so I've just been wrestling with, I see your 3% curve and all that, but if somebody walks in and says, I need 30 megs for my data center, we want to serve that business, and now your 3%, it's not smooth, it jumps up and down. So how do we think about providing energy at that capacity to a data center? It's almost like a small combustion turbine or something you gotta have. How do you think about
this
it?
is the grid will provide that. Very
It's a feedback.
Well, the grid, if somebody walks in and says, I need 40 megs and my data center will be up in 2 years,
yeah.
where would you get 40 megs?
We really
Actually, all the renewable batteries that are coming along, we have conventional with the Ukudu and the reserves that we have. That's why I'm saying let's not retire yet the conventional units until we
The
get
combustion
things
turbines, keep those
and
going.
everything.
That's like keeping
So-
coal going, right? It's just
So
gonna
you have that capacity, right? So what you're doing now is the batteries and everything. You're actually
Shaving the peak.
reducing, shaving the peak. The peak that would have been generated by conventional capacity, now you brought it down 20, 40
so
megawatts.
you can handle
So
some.
now you can handle more growth.
Okay, good.
Now, if you ask the question, well, okay, what happens with batteries? But batteries are non-moving parts,
Yeah.
not like the diesels or whatever. So they're very reliable.
Low maintenance.
Yeah.
And then we're cutting it down, and not 180. We're talking about 45, 45, 45. So you also then reduce the risk, ne? So then you count that as your reserve. See? The difference about batteries, why I say, well, why don't we just have batteries instead of conventional unit? The problem is if you have to store 5 days of
Right.
energy, because if it rains for 5 days and you cannot, no sun,
Yeah.
that's 5 days
recharge it.
themselves, that costs you 35 cents on your rate. You have to go up 30.
Yep.
So that's why conventional energy to charge this thing is the best thing, right?
It's like grid already, John, is we can feed back to whatever needs on this
Yeah.
side.
The grid
It's all
will-
guided.
The grid's
Yeah.
fine.
We can-
The grid's not a problem, it's just where we put it, and so what we're thinking here is putting it on strategic 35, but more importantly, our first preference is on the 115. And the 115, you'll go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then it's also good for the grid. So again, this is what we're trying to do. Next. So again, this is what we had, our plan all along, and this is what we actually requested to see whether we can get some federal assistance on, no? And again, centralized energy battery, where will we place it? This will be good for the whole island. It's also be good for the military, for the Air Force Base, Marine Base in the north, and also the Naval Base in the south. And of course, the community around those bases, no? Or it'll be good for everyone. And so again, this is why we want a centralized battery. It's got all these benefits. Next. How
John,
much
what's
would it?
NBG?
That's the
Huh?
cost.
On this NBG South near NBG?
Base one,
Naval Base Guam?
Navy.
Yeah.
So you
So
just stick a
again, when
battery
you
on
feed down there to Upper and all of that, you can feed the southern, you can feed the. So 45 megawatt will feed actually the whole area. Because Navy Base Guam is maybe about 20 megawatts or something.
How much property do we need to store one 45 megawatt?
How much property?
Right, because we have to own this
Yeah.
property.
Well, yeah, that's what we're still working out the details, whether we own it or do we bid it out as an RFP. As a,
We can provide the land at Cabris and let the bidder do the rest.
we can provide the line and do an IPP. See? So again, we're working out those details now,
you can own it, that's
and then
better.
we'll bring it to yourself. But you're correct.
About staffing it.
A question: do you want to really own the battery after
25
20
years, you don't want to own the
25
battery.
years,
Let's
right?
get a new
We're not
battery.
around, guys, I wouldn't.
Well,
No, Simon, come on, today, we don't even know where to dump lithium.
So
I'm passing this on to my children and grandchildren.
Yes, right.
yeah, so
Unfortunately,
Just remember
So
this
again,
watch.
uh,
The batteries are gonna be like this.
there's a way to, those are the decisions that are coming up,
Yeah.
right? We're
you
ready.
can't dump it in the Mariana Trench.
Yep. So again,
John, I just want to be clear, John, because as I read this, there's 90 megawatts on GPA owned and controlled lot. I thought we're out of the power generation business. I just want to be clear,
Oh.
John, because it's in there. And,
Well-
yeah, I just want to make clear as we move down, that I
We
know
can-
we're going to have options, and I like
Yeah.
that. I
Yep.
just want to, in my mind, start wrestling that this, because we already own the other two.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're right, we have that property, is that worth the best, yep. So,
As I
Yep.
understand, John, and everything you've told us, right, whatever asset we own, it has to be on our land.
Yep.
Therefore, we must own property, and we're not really in the property buying business.
yep,
Okay, so
That's right.
that's why I'm very cautious as how we move down this road, because,
Yeah.
very recently they gave us land and we're getting sued. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But Mr. Chair, I think to me, the distinction is, right, for renewables, I don't really care if we own the property. Because in 25 years, the technology is gonna change all of
Right.
that, right? And what I expect to happen in 25 years is we're migrating away from carbon to batteries and solar, and that's all gonna get cheaper and more efficient. 25 years, we're just gonna put out another bid for renewable energy, and people like Manila and these other solar farm guys, they're gonna bid on it, because they already
So-
own the land.
actually, this is potential, no? I mean, this is how one area, we have some properties, no?
Yep.
Another area, it may not be the best location for the system, so, but, no. Just an overview right now, Mr. Chair, and I understand what you're talking about, because my thoughts too is really, I mean, we really want 20 years, 25 years service next. What would it cost? About 180 million for 90 megawatt. Then that's kind of hard to bond. So that's why I'm thinking we'll be on a IPP scenario. Let them finance it, let them all operate and maintain it over the years. We just have to be able to dispatch it. Because this is now, as you see, it's spread out through the whole, it's really going to be paid by the whole LEAC, right? Which is the total sales, right? Not like if you have a battery for KEPCO or whatever in an area, it's really just to serve that. So for us to come in to dispatch that the best way we can, because again, you have contractual obligations, right? So again, the benefit that's going to come all of this is that, so if you look, 1 cent, no? That was going to do a lot for us. And again, we're looking at 90 to 180. We're still pursuing the federal, but we need to get moving at least to the point where If we did get funding, we'll help it offset whatever. We set up the bid so that we can help offset and reduce the cost. No? Next. Again, here in the north, again, it could be in the 115 in the north, it could be in the 34.5. Next. And again, here's the 115. It goes all the way from Cabras through the mountains all the way up to Harmon. And then there's another one that goes to the PD area all the way up Route 16 down. So anywhere around the 115 or whatever that good will serve, no? And next. So again, this is why we need it. There's many reasons. Will be the centralized battery. We don't have everyone putting in a battery that's necessary. We will control it, we will catch it, and the grid will be, we'll have other ways to deal with intermittency. And this is what the grid controller, the things that our teams are working on, and all of that. And I think that's it, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, so John, you know, we don't control the, private citizens or even the airport, right? They're thinking about mini grids, right? And I mean, that's sort of the wave of the future is individuals may take more control over their energy decisions, right? Yet at the end of the day, we're the backup for everybody, right? Unless you just want to be completely off the grid and have a nice day, don't call us when there's a typhoon, right? But I guess that's what I'm wrestling with as we look forward. I'm with you. Rather than have 1,000 houses with a solar array and 1,000 batteries, we can offer the central battery. And yet this central battery is really more to protect our system, at least primarily, at least as I'm understanding it. So, but if there's another 20 megs, 30 megs in the next decade that's coming from individual mini grids, and does our battery, how do we tell them you don't need to do a battery, we'll be your battery, or how do you think about that?
No, no problem. It just means that the duck curve goes down.
Right, but I mean, do they still buy a battery for themselves, or?
Yeah.
So they're still going to do that.
They could do that, whatever's in their best interest, or they think. Now, with us, we don't get to choose. If it's not in their best interest, they come on board. If it's in their best interest, they go on board. So, but either way, it's not going to harm them. The only way, again, our whole issue there about harming is paying your fair share of the system. That's all we're saying. No? Everyone pays their fair share of the system, which is the avoided cost plus a little bit more, then no one is harmed. And then we can all fight, or we can all go against import of oil. The more we don't import oil, the better for the whole island community. So the whole issue here really is making sure that the cross-subsidization, it had its time, but now this thing could take off like this, and is going to be harmful, significantly harmful to the rest of the ratepayers.
The Okudu can make enough for the whole island, and those batteries are not needed when Okudu is running smoothly already?
You want
No,
the
no,
futures?
yeah.
You want the
Still
battery?
That's
need-
the base load.
Yeah, still not, because remember,
It's 140.
Ukudu is 198. The demand I show you is 290.
Which is very, very little if it's on full load, because it's
Yeah.
a base load unit.
So the 190, that means if we don't have batteries, we're going to need conventional units to cover the 290.
JB, have you determined what that rate per megawatt hour is going to be? And it's going to fall under the LEAC, right? These batteries will
Yeah.
go under the LEAC.
That's the 1 cent, 1.2 cents.
1.2 cents.
Yeah. You back up?
So we'll go from 17 to.
Yeah, and the reason for
18.
that now is because this is gonna service the whole community, so therefore everybody pay for it. Ne?
Yeah.
Not like because it's more costly for the individual to put in a battery just for limited service,
Yeah.
like the as the
What would the LEAC go to?
at 1 cent.
Just add 1 cent?
Yeah.
And then, of course, if
Yeah.
fuel prices go down, it'll be just reflected.
Yeah, but the other part of this now is whenever you're floating conventional unit, they have different efficiencies at different level. So when you find the sweet spot, then you can save fuel savings. So therefore, that fuel savings goes back into the LEAC, which your 1 cent now gets offset. See?
And this is based on self-performance, this pricing, or is this based on notional, what you could expect from a bidder to come in with?
This is
This is self-performance.
understanding what I seen around in terms of what the cost may be, what a battery may cost, and I'm kind of being conservative in this.
The only thing that we
yeah.
don't know though is the true life expectancy of these batteries. It's new technology, right? We don't have any benchmarking that shows, X amount of years of performance degradation.
No,
right?
that's just early on, right? But the proponents that are providing the
burden's on them.
burdens on them if they don't.
If it's a bidder, yeah. If it's a
Yeah.
if
Versus
it's a-
if we own it.
Yeah.
Right? If they don't produce the
But
energy,
the-
they don't
All,
get paid.
all we're bound for is to pay that energy that
That
it
they
is
deliver.
there.
But we
If they
can't-
don't deliver and they don't make it reach, then their financial model, which of course they go to the financing community.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of due diligence even there already to make it.
They have every incentive to keep their battery sharp.
With Okudu running and the gas turbine running and the base load of our, we can generate enough though, right? With all of our,
Yeah, I
without
mean,
the battery.
without the battery, no, you can
We
with
can still-
Okudu and the additional capacity that we have.
Yeah.
I think what I showed is that when Okudu comes on the line and the reserves that we have, if after we retire Caversham 1 and 2, we still have 60 megawatts for growth.
And plus, you
But
need
then,
the battery.
when the batteries come on like KEPCO, now you have 120 megawatts for
we
growth.
turn off,
When
the
this
CT and the
centralized
gas
come
turbine.
in, again, you have an additional megawatt for growth. So then, at that point, now growth is no longer the critical path, if you will, or whatever. The critical path is how do you continue to save energy costs. And this is how you don't run expensive conventional
Generation,
unit. You let the batteries catch the cheap energy, like Okudu. In the morning in Okudu, sometimes you have to go like this. You have to turn it down. So you take that and charge the battery, and then use it at night. So you don't run the expensive units.
Plus, like you showed us, I mean, Ukudu needs batteries because a cloud cover can go over a solar farm and you go from 60 megs to 10 megs in 30, 60 seconds. Takes time for the generators to ramp up. In this case, the battery just steps in until the generators ramp up. That's why it makes sense that even conventional generation going forward, you incorporate with batteries because it's talking to a distributed generation system through a grid, and parts of that generation source can lose capacity like that. And you still need to keep the whole
It's good to have
system.
battery, but like the chairman says, if you're driving a hybrid car, it's run on battery after so many years, 100,000 miles, those battery have.
True,
you
and
know,
our private
so-
partner will replace the battery because remember,
their
at this point, we're just
responsibility.
energy buyers.
Yeah.
We don't have to own the.
Which is why we need to really look at this.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's-
all
Yeah,
right,
that's
guys,
why I
let's,
know what you're
let's,
talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we know the models, we just gotta, John, you just gotta give us the recommendations.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Get a battery.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, just one
Yeah.
thing. So this is gonna be brought to us on Tuesday?
No,
Not yet, okay. All
no,
right,
there's
this is just
a, it's
3
gonna be
months out, it's
within
gonna
the
be 3
next
months
3 months. It could be as early as next month, but
so
I'm
between-
thinking no June meetings or maybe July.
So between now and then, can you collect the data on the performance of the existing battery systems? So I'd like to know if there's been any warranty recalls, have there been batteries that have to be switched out? I'd like to
On
understand.
the ones we own.
Yeah, based on our experience over the, I wanna understand
It's
what
ours,
our
yeah.
experience is with those units.
I mean, good news, we haven't heard anything, which is, I don't know if that's good news.
I'm
Well,
not,
it
I
was a
don't,
telephone
Those are good news.
Yeah.
off the top of my head, I don't think so, but I will,
Well,
Give us the
I
data.
need, you know, yeah.
Telefofo had a battery issue, right? They had to switch those out. They had to, warranty claim. You have a battery up there.
Well, when we bought the batteries, remember, there was a time there that they were also beginning to have fires and stuff.
Yeah.
So before we owned the battery,
You make sure.
that was addressed through cooling and all of that.
Yeah.
And then they have regular preventive maintenance done in the machines. And it's really not us, they're, maintaining it, so.
And the batteries at Ukudu are also dispatchable, right?
No.
No, that's just, that's
That's
just
theirs.
a
Cover
reserve,
intermittency.
just intermittency?
Yeah, that will be there, and so that if, and main intermittency, and most importantly, if the,
Solar drops.
or their turbine or
Oh, drops, okay.
drops, then
They
this,
got some
You can
time.
ramp up.
yeah. So this is, we had that added to avoid load shedding when
If
we
they drop.
lose capacity.
Yeah, they could-
And because this capacity is there, right, we wanted to make sure. So the one now that the one that avoids that right now is the 40 megawatts, the 24 megawatt that we had in Naganya. It was supposed to be, I'm sorry, 24. It was supposed to be 40 with the one in Talapopo, but when we reconfigured Talapopo to take care of the intermittency from Dandan. So we only have already 24, so whenever we lose a base load, the 24 helps, but it's not enough. Even at 40, we were thinking it's still, but it'll, not enough, but it'll minimize the number. So now only this 25 will add to that system. So that because they cannot separate their hook-ins, they cannot separate, they're tied into the system. So if anything happen here, this is going to react. But, yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Colleagues,
it,
anything
Mr.
else
Chair.
on just the general stuff? Okay.
Uh,
John
yeah,
Kim,
you-
I just want you to please follow up on our friends at, I'm looking at the AR in Kakwam. I'm very concerned about GDOE and GMH. Okay, because I had tell him check, they have run out of money from the fund that was created for them. Well, whatever they were given so they can get paid and not have to go to GMH, you can't run to DOA anymore. So therefore, they're on their own. So please, just follow up with them and say, look, it's trailing 90 days out and more, so. Yes. We were aware of that, but when I asked Tony to chase down water, she goes, they're out of money. I said, that is not a good thing for us. Okay? And of course, GDOE, we have to be very concerned because I don't know where they're gonna get money. So we need.
Not our department.
Well, unfortunately, they wanna open schools on time, so it's gonna be our problem.
Not our department.
So please, just send a nice reminder that we're on top of this and,
We have other ratepayers that pay
Yeah,
their bills
well-
on time.
unless you're telling me we can cut them off, Commissioner Sanchez? Yeah.
Well, I like John's strategy.
Yeah.
He's never cut off the schools, but
Well, yeah.
DOA sometimes doesn't have power till we get a
Yeah,
check.
that's-
I mean, that works for me.
Yeah, the unfortunate part, and I may, correct me if I'm wrong, John, T-Gen, I mean, I know, can we cut off GDOE Central and at least keep, there's two schools within
We have
500 yards of each other?
Yeah, we've let it known to DOE, Mr. Chair, that they don't pay, we'll take them off on Friday. I'm talking about the administration.
Yes,
building,
yeah, the Central.
Central,
Right.
and let them figure it out by Monday.
Okay.
But make sure they have a backup generator at least to print the check.
Well, we have to treat them the way we treat our regular customers.
We don't give them 90 days.
Yeah, we never had
But
to
they're
use.
90 days
yeah,
out,
We
that's
never
the
had to do it, but you know, we've done it before.
Oh,
Not,
yeah.
not our
Again,
department.
it's a going concern for all of us, and we don't want to be the ones to be last. There's no reasons we should be last on the payment list. We should be, I don't want to say at the top of the list, but, you know,
it-
something close by, because they do want to keep air cons at the schools and all that nice stuff, but, that, you still have to pay the bill.
Well, it's good. This is an open public meeting in which it's being very clearly expressed by management and the elected CCU
Yeah,
that we're,
no,
all
that's-
ratepayers will be treated
Yeah, the same.
the same. And so DOD, DOE, whoever, I'm sorry, DOE or whoever in Guam and DOA, you know, you were all, the governors and senators, you were all elected. That's in
Yeah,
your department.
which is-
You figure it out.
They do have a budget for those.
So, I
have
mean,
a
I'm just curious, help me understand how we pay on our street lights. Because it's a nice receivable, but, I mean, you know, it's, how
Or
how
did
does
they
that
hang
happen?
those street light? Huh? How much are they?
Street lights.
Okay, so we'll
Just
work
chase
on
that one
that.
down, I mean, they're all, yeah. Okay.
Let's turn off DPW.
Yeah.
Century and Harmon.
That would be,
Yeah, I'm serious. Let
yeah,
them
that would
worry
be
about it.
that would be the
Still
first.
demand more
It's
streetlights in
their
Guam.
box. It's their box. You know, we can't fix everybody.
Right.
Okay, that's it then. So we'll see you guys all on Tuesday. I need a motion to adjourn, please.
Move to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
All right, we're done. Thank you, John B., John
Excellent,
K.
excellent.
Chief.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Chair.